After my wife's credit card debt nearly bankrupted us, I worked 2 jobs for years to fix our finances. The day we became debt-free, I found receipts for designer bags hidden in her car. That night, she said, "I deserve nice things after all we've been through." So, I gave her the divorce papers I'd been carrying for weeks. So do I. I, 36M, never thought my marriage would end over shopping bags, but I guess that's not really what ended it. Been sitting in my half-empty apartment trying to make sense of the last month, wondering if sharing this might help me process everything. 3 years ago, I discovered my wife, 33F, had racked up nearly $47,000 in credit card debt across 5 different cards. Not joint debt, her own personal cards that I knew nothing about. We'd been married for 7 years at that point, living what I thought was a financially responsible life. Not rich by any means, I work as a production manager at a manufacturing plant, and she works part-time at an upscale boutique downtown, but we were doing okay. Or so I thought. The discovery happened by accident. We were meeting with a mortgage broker, excited about buying our first house. The broker pulled our credit reports, and I watched his expression change as he looked at my wife's report. He asked if we needed a moment alone, and that's when everything fell apart. My wife started crying, saying she'd been planning to tell me, but never found the right time. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. That night, she confessed everything between sobbing fits. Designer clothes, expensive dinners with friends when she told me she was at work events. Weekend getaways she claimed were girls' trips her parents had helped fund. She had a whole secret life of luxury I knew nothing about, all while I drove a car with 160,000 miles on it and packed leftovers for lunch. I was hurt, angry, confused, but I decided to try to save our marriage. We made a plan. I'd pick up a second job as a weekend warehouse supervisor, she'd get more hours at the boutique, and we'd live frugally to pay everything off within 3 years. She tearfully promised to cut up her cards and change her habits. I believed her, probably because I wanted to. For 3 years, I worked myself into the ground. 50 hours at my regular job, then another 15 to 20 at the warehouse on weekends. I missed family events, stopped seeing friends, forgot what hobbies felt like. My wife complained about the embarrassing budget, but seemed to be making an effort. The card balances were going down, and I thought we were in this together. About 4 months ago, I started noticing little inconsistencies. The debt wasn't decreasing quite as fast as our budget projections suggested it should. My wife had new clothes she claimed were old things I just haven't worn in a while. But between working 2 jobs and being chronically exhausted, I didn't have the energy to investigate. Then last Tuesday happened. We'd finally made the last payment. Debt-free after 3 grueling years. I left work early, planning to pick up ingredients for a celebration dinner. Nothing fancy, just something special at home. When I got to our apartment, my wife wasn't home, but her car was in the driveway with the trunk partially open. I went to close it and noticed a shopping bag tucked under some old gym clothes. I probably wouldn't have looked, but something about the way it was hidden bothered me. Inside were receipts for 3 designer handbags, totaling almost $9,000. The dates showed purchases made over the last few months, while I was still working weekends to pay off her debt. I stood there in the driveway for I don't know how long, feeling like the ground was shifting under me. I went inside and looked around with new eyes, but didn't find the bags. After about 30 minutes of growing suspicion, I called her sister. She answered on the 4th ring, sounding guarded. "Hey, is my wife storing some of her things at your place?" A long pause. "Why are you asking?" That was answer enough. I thanked her and hung up, my mind racing. Where was the money coming from? I checked our bank accounts, nothing unusual. Then I remembered her parents' allowance. Since before we were married, her parents gave her a small monthly allowance, around $200 to $300 for personal expenses. I never questioned it because it seemed harmless and was what her family had always done. I called my father-in-law, trying to sound casual. "Hey, quick question. Has my wife mentioned anything to you about, increasing her monthly allowance recently?" "Oh yeah," he said, sounding distracted. "She told us you two were finally getting your finances under control, so we bumped it up to help you both get back on your feet. Been about, I don't know, maybe 7-8 months now." My stomach dropped. "And, how much is it now, if you don't mind me asking?" He chuckled. $1,500. Not breaking the bank for us, and she said you were on board with the arrangement. Said you were just too proud to ask directly. I thanked him and hung up, feeling sick. $1,500 a month for at least 7 months. On top of her paycheck, that was supposedly going toward our debt. We should have been debt-free months ago. My wife got home around 6, carrying takeout and chatting about her day, like nothing was wrong. She mentioned we should do something fun this weekend to celebrate being debt-free, maybe a nice dinner out. I placed the receipts on the kitchen counter. What are these? She froze for just a second before her face relaxed. Oh, I was going to surprise you. Now that we're done with all that debt stuff, I bought myself a few things. According to the dates, you bought these while we were still paying off the debt, while I was working 2 jobs. She sighed and waved her hand dismissively. You're making too big a deal of this. Mom and Dad increased my allowance, and I've been picking up extra shifts. It's not like I put them on credit cards. All we've been through. I repeated, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. I've worked 2 jobs for 3 years because of your lies, and now I find out you've been secretly spending thousands while watching me exhaust myself. God, you're overreacting, she snapped. They're just bags. It's my parents' money, not yours. You don't get to control what they give me. Your parents think they're helping both of us, I said. And why are we only debt-free now if you've had all this extra money coming in? Where has your paycheck been going? She rolled her eyes. Not everything has to go to the stupid debt. I've given up so much because of your obsession with paying it off. I haven't traveled. I've worn the same clothes forever. I've been driving that boring car for years. I tuned out her complaints as a strange calm settled over me. I'd been wrestling with doubts for weeks, wondering if I was being paranoid, telling myself to trust her. Now I had my answer. I went to my car and returned with a manila envelope I'd had in my glove compartment for about a week. My buddy who's a lawyer had connected me with a divorce attorney when I first started noticing things weren't adding up. I hadn't been certain I'd use the papers, kept telling myself I was just being prepared just in case. What's that? She asked, cutting off her own rant. Divorce papers, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I've had them for about a week. Wasn't sure if I'd need them. She stared at me, then laughed. You're not serious. Over few shopping trips? Are you insane? It's not about the bags, I said. It's about the pattern. The lies. You promised you'd changed, but you just got better at hiding things. You watched me work myself to exhaustion for 3 years while secretly going back to the exact same behavior that got us into this mess. You're being ridiculous, she said, but I could see panic starting to set in. My parents will stop helping me if we divorce. Is that what you want? You know what? I said. After everything, I think what I deserve is a partner who respects me enough to tell me the truth. Who keeps her promises. Who doesn't lie to my face for years. She started crying then, those same tears that had convinced me to stay and fix things 3 years ago. This time, they just made me tired. Where am I supposed to go? She sobbed. Your sister seems to have plenty of storage space for your secret purchases, I said. Maybe she has room for you too. It's been about 2 weeks since that night. Things have gotten messy, as you'd expect. She called her parents from our kitchen, crying so hard they could barely understand her. They showed up at our door about an hour, later looking like they'd rushed over in the middle of dinner. Her mother was already crying, and her father looked ready to punch me. What kind of man throws away a marriage over a shopping trip? He demanded as soon as I opened the door. I invited them in and explained everything as calmly as I could, the original hidden debt, the 3 years of me working double shifts, and now discovering she'd been secretly spending thousands while lying to all of us. Her father started defending her at first. All women like to shop, and what's the harm if we're paying for it? But even he seemed uncomfortable when I laid out just how much I'd sacrificed while she was hiding luxury purchases. You told us you were both on board with the increased allowance, her mother said, looking confused. You said you were grateful for our help. My wife just sat there sniffling, occasionally interrupting with comments about how controlling I was being and how I never let her enjoy anything. The real kicker came when her father asked why she hadn't used their increased allowance to pay off the debt faster. She actually said, because I needed something for myself after all the sacrifices I was making. Even her father seemed shocked by that one. What sacrifices exactly? He asked. That's when she listed her hardships. Driving her 3-year-old car instead of getting a new one, shopping at regular stores sometimes, not going on expensive trips with her friends. You could almost see her parents reassessing their daughter before my eyes. Not completely, they still took her side overall, but something had shifted. They left with my wife, who packed as much as she could carry, but couldn't find the designer bags. I just said, probably with everything else at your sister's place. The look on her face was revealing. The next day, her sister came by, all fired up about financial abuse and how I had no right to monitor her spending or complain about her family's money. I pointed out that hiding thousands in purchases and lying about money is actually financial infidelity, which didn't go over well. She made one mistake and has been paying for it for years, her sister shouted. No, I said, I've been paying for it. Working 2 jobs, missing family events, ruining my health, while she hid designer bags at your apartment. Her sister left angry, warning me that the family would make sure I got what I deserved in the divorce. A few days later, my wife wanted to meet to talk rationally. I agreed to a coffee shop. She showed up in what was obviously a new outfit with yet another designer bag I'd never seen. The irony was painful. She started with a rehearsed speech about understanding my feelings, but thinking divorce was an extreme reaction to a financial disagreement. She suggested counseling and promised to communicate better about her spending. Do you actually understand why I'm ending our marriage? I asked. Because I spent money without telling you, she said with this condescending little smile. No, I said. Because you lied to me, to your parents, to everyone. You watched me work myself to exhaustion fixing your mistakes while secretly doing the exact same things that caused the problem. You've shown me who you are twice now. She teared up, promising this time will be different. When that didn't work, she switched tactics, warning that her parents would make things difficult with expensive lawyers and that she'd ask for alimony since she had sacrificed career advancement during our marriage. I didn't have a dramatic folder of evidence to slide across the table like in some movie, but I did have screenshots of conversations with her father about the allowance, messages from her sister about storing items, and most importantly, I documented the inconsistencies in our debt paydown schedule over the months. I'm not trying to hurt you, I said, but I've been protecting myself because I've suspected something was wrong for a while. I just didn't want to believe you'd do this again. Her face hardened. So all this, meeting me, talking about counseling, was just to what? Humiliate me. No, I said. It was to see if you'd actually take responsibility. But you're still making excuses and trying to manipulate me. I left after that, feeling drained but somehow lighter. The legal stuff has been moving along for about a month now. My wife is staying with her parents, who did hire a pretty expensive lawyer, as threatened. Fortunately, the documentation I've been gathering has been helpful, even though it's not as comprehensive as I'd like. The initial demand from her lawyer was pretty outrageous, half of everything plus alimony, because she supposedly supported my career by maintaining our household. This despite her working part-time by choice, and us having a cleaning service because she doesn't do housework. My lawyer responded with what evidence we had, documentation of the original hidden debt, notes and messages about our financial recovery plan, evidence of her continued secret spending, and most helpfully messages from her father confirming she had misrepresented the situation to her parents. About a week ago, my lawyer called to say her attorney wanted to discuss more reasonable terms. Apparently the evidence, while not perfect, was enough to make them reconsider their aggressive approach. The most surprising development came yesterday when my father-in-law asked to meet just us men. I was wary but agreed to coffee. He looked older, tired. I owe you an apology, he said after an uncomfortable silence. We really thought we were helping both of you. She told us you knew about the arrangement, that you were grateful but too proud to discuss it directly. I almost felt bad for him. He's been manipulated too, and he's struggling with that realization. Would you consider giving her another chance? He asked. We've cut off the allowance completely this time. She needs to learn. It's too late, I said. This isn't about money anymore. It's about trust and respect. She's shown me who she is twice now. He nodded slowly. Her mother and I are reassessing some things too. We thought we were helping you both through a tough time, not funding shopping sprees while you worked yourself into the ground. This morning, my wife showed up at our apartment unannounced. She looked different, simpler clothes, less makeup. My parents cut me off, she said, voice shaking slightly. They said I've been irresponsible and manipulative. I didn't invite her in. I'm sorry to hear that. You turned them against me, she accused. After everything I've sacrificed for you. That caught me off guard. What exactly have you sacrificed? She seemed genuinely confused by the question. I stayed with you through financial hardship. I could have left when things got tough with the debt. The debt you created, I reminded her. And I stayed too, worked 2 jobs for 3 years to fix your mistake. It wasn't just my mistake, she snapped. You should have been paying attention to our finances. Even now, She couldn't take full responsibility. Some people never change. My lawyer will be in touch about the settlement, I said. It's fair considering everything. You're just trying to punish me, she said bitterly. No, I said honestly. I'm just finally putting myself first. I wasted 3 years of my life fixing your mistakes while you lied to my face. I'm not wasting any more time. The divorce isn't quite final yet. These things take time, but we've reached a settlement that's actually pretty reasonable. She keeps her car, which is paid off thanks to my second job, her personal possessions including all those hidden purchases, and a smaller payout than she initially demanded. I keep the apartment lease, my retirement accounts, and my dignity. Her parents have apparently maintained their position about not enabling her irresponsible choices, though they're letting her stay with them while she figures things out. Some mutual friends have heard her side of the story, that I was financially controlling and never let her enjoy her life, but the ones who actually saw me working double shifts for years know better. I've lost some peripheral friends in the split, but that's how these things go. I quit the warehouse job last month. Still feels strange having weekends free again. Went fishing with my brother last Saturday for the first time in probably 2 years. Started playing basketball again on Thursday nights. Sleeping better too. I'm slowly rebuilding my savings, no debt, keeping expenses modest. Last week I bought myself something I've wanted for years, but could never justify, a good quality watch. Nothing flashy, just well-made and reliable. Cost about 1/10 of what she spent on those bags. Sometimes I wonder if there were warning signs I missed from the beginning. Probably, but I can't change the past. As I told her that night, I deserve nice things too. Turns out the nicest thing was getting my life back.